All right, with the big vote quickly approaching, I'm being joined now by former UK MP George Galloway. So, George, we know MPs go to vote on Theresa May's deal today. We expect that to be a big loser for her. One of the issues at hand is Jeremy Corbyn citing that May's deal does not provide, quote, a permanent UK-EU customs union and strong single market. What do you make of that?
Well, that's his objection. Other people have the opposite objection. The Northern Irish have a third draft of objections, and that's her problem in just 2 hours' time. Going into the voting lobbies will be people who are voting the way they are for wildly disparate reasons. You've got a critical mass of opposition to Theresa May, which is why, as I predicted to you yesterday, it's going to be of historic proportions, the biggest defeat ever suffered by any British government on anything in our history. And if that doesn't make the Prime Minister resign, I'm not sure exactly what would. So all attention is now focusing on what happens after 7 o'clock London time, 2 hours from now this evening. In a way, that's when the fun and games really start.
Okay, so we know that as you said, this was just Jeremy Corbyn's his issue at his hand, and you said there are a myriad of other problems that other people are citing. How do all those relate to the Irish backstop, to Article 50?
Well, that's important to 10 people, but those are the 10 people most important to the British government, because they are the 10 unionists, that's pro-British, not Irish, but pro-British Northern Irish MPs, and they're keeping Theresa May. In fact, they're keeping the whole Conservative Party in government. So if you don't please them, you're not in power for very much longer. And this backstop makes clear that the north of Ireland is really part of Ireland, and there cannot be a hard border between them. And yet, at the same time, you cannot have Britain out of the EU, Ireland in the EU, and no hard border. It's an irresistible force. It's an immovable object. Now, as I say, there's only 10 people in the world that matters to, because most British people would be quite happy to see Ireland reunited when it should never have been divided in the first place. But it's who the 10 are that matters.
And now, George, let me paint a hypothetical picture for you. Should March roll around and the UK finds itself in a no-deal Brexit, this would then force the EU into a fresh round of negotiations with the UK, right?
No, we would begin trading with the EU and they with us, and they sell a lot more to us than we to them, of course, on WTO rules by default. That is to say, whatever the trading arrangements with all the other members of the WTO, those that don't have bilateral trade agreements themselves with the EU, like Canada, for example, which does have that. And so it wouldn't be seamless, but it would, and there would be a few bumps on the road, but it wouldn't be the end of the world, because if it was, the rest of the world would be in dire straits. So on the 29th of March, unless a government, any government, puts down on the order paper new legislation to change it, either to delay it or to continue the negotiation or to change the British demands, then that's what will happen. We will leave on the 29th of March and begin immediately to trade with the EU and they with us on WTO rules.
Well, you say that the Brexit will occur March 29th, but if the divorce is pushed beyond March 29th, could we see a Theresa May exit, maybe in May, pun intended, this spring? Could we see her leave?
You might see her leave this evening, Manila, if she's defeated in the terms that all the broadcasters and journalists are saying here. She's going to be defeated. It may very well be that her resignation will be tendered this very evening. That has a double effect. It gets her out of the agony of all this. Can't be fun being the Prime Minister of Britain in the midst of all this. But it also means the Conservative majority can press the pause button and delay the Article 50 and therefore 29th of March, whilst they have an internal election to choose a new leader instead of Theresa May, and therefore they hope a new Prime Minister of Britain. If I was a betting man, my money would be on exactly that in just a couple of hours' time.
Okay, George, so while I have you for another minute, if she does leave tonight, make a call. What is her best accomplishment? What is her worst?
Well, she'll be seen to have been an accidental Prime Minister who only got the job because David Cameron unexpectedly lost the referendum on the EU and unexpectedly quit the morning after, and none of her rivals could remain standing, could chew gum and walk in a straight line for long enough to defeat her. So she'll be a somewhat embarrassing footnote in the constitutional history of Britain. Notwithstanding that, I wish her all the best and a long and happy retirement.
Ouch, George. We'll have you back on to review this after tonight's vote, obviously. We'll talk about this again. Thank you so much, George Galloway.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.